Human agent defied orders. To save her, Tribunal became ceremony. The Celestia outpost shimmered above the ringed world, its glassy towers rising over the assembly chamber. Agent Rowan Hale moved quietly among the dignitaries and guards, every step deliberate, every route memorized, his storm-blue eyes alert for threats. For over a decade, he had operated as a covert operative for the Federation, a silent blade in the shadows. Tonight, his orders were clear. Observe, do not intervene, and permit the elimination of Envoy Lyra, the Felinari negotiator whose passionate plea for peace threatened lucrative conflicts. Inside the domed chamber, a hush fell as Lyra strode to the center dais. Her vibrant blue hair glimmered beneath the crystalline lights, ears pricked high, tail swishing with each elegant movement. Her athletic frame exuded both grace and strength. Lyra's voice resonated, rich with conviction. There must come a time when Felinari and humans set down their arms. The blood we spill is the future we lose. This war— She paused, her golden eyes sweeping over faces hardened by cynicism— has stolen enough. Rowan stood near a pillar, one hand curled around the grip of his concealed sidearm. His earpiece crackled with command. Spectre 5, stand by, no interference. His gaze tracked the room, two shooters by the upper gallery, faces calm, postures relaxed, too relaxed. The coordinator near the rear, gloved fingers resting on a datapad, eyes darting with silent calculation. The plan unfolded in perfect silence. Only Rowan's pulse dared to break the rhythm. Lyra's words drew murmurs from the crowd, hope and derision mingling. She pressed on. My people are weary. Yours are weary. We can build something, together. Peace is not the dream of the naive. It is the courage of those who choose it. Rowan's orders echoed in his mind. Observe, permit, do nothing. Then, the lead assassin raised his pulse pistol, barely a flicker of movement. Lyra's ears twitched. She turned, sensing the predatory intent. Time fractured, each moment expanding into aching clarity. Rowan heard the command in his ear. Spectre 5, hold position. Mission is green. But the words splintered against the rising tide inside him. He moved. Rowan's pistol cleared its holster in one fluid motion. His first shot lanced across the chamber, striking the leader in the chest. The assassin collapsed, weapon clattering. Panic erupted. Rowan surged forward, shoving through diplomats, his trajectory unerring. The second shooter raised his weapon, but Rowan was faster, disarming him with a brutal twist and dropping him with a swift blow to the jaw. The third assassin aimed at Lyra. She moved, body a blur, claws unsheathed. With feline agility, she swept the weapon aside, her dagger slashing a warning arc. The assassin stumbled, weapon skidding across the floor. Envoy, we have to go! Rowan shouted above the chaos. Lyra's golden eyes locked on his. For an instant, distrust warred with recognition. She read the truth in his stance, in the way he shielded her with his own body. She nodded, darting to his side. Together they wove through the pandemonium. Alarms howled, security forces fanned out, uncertain who the true enemy was. Rowan led Lyra through a maintenance hatch, past startled technicians and down a service corridor that twisted beneath the assembly's splendor. They burst into a docking bay. Rowan scanned the vessels, eyes narrowing on a sleek diplomatic skimmer emblazoned with neutral markings. That one, he said, and they sprinted for it. Inside the cockpit, Rowan's fingers flew over controls, overriding security protocols. Engines hummed. Lyra slid into the co-pilot's seat, every muscle tense, hand never far from her dagger. With a jolt, the skimmer lifted, piercing through the defensive grids. The outpost receded, reduced to a shimmer above the swirling rings, alarms fading into the dark. Silence pressed close in the cramped cabin. Rowan gritted his teeth, inspecting a scorch wound seared across his forearm. The burn throbbed, but he barely flinched, cleaning the wound with practiced detachment. Lyra watched him, wary, her tail curled protectively around her legs. She kept her claws near her ceremonial dagger, eyes never leaving Rowan's face. The hum of the engines masked their breathing, tension thick as gravity. A sudden flicker lit the dashboard. The newsfeed activated, its headline screaming betrayal. Rowan's face, marked traitor, terrorist, abductor of the Felinari envoy. Grainy footage replayed the assembly's chaos. The assassins' names scrolled below. Heroes, martyrs to peace. Lyra's ceremonial title blazed across the screen. Envoy of the First Accord, now missing, presumed taken. She broke the silence, her voice barely above a whisper. You could have let them kill me. Why didn't you? Rowan met her gaze, blue eyes weary but resolute. I'm done watching innocents die. Someone has to hope for a future without endless war. Lyra studied him, searching for deception and finding only a battered hope. Her shoulders eased a fraction. You realize we're both fugitives now. My people will call me compromised. Yours will want you dead. He nodded, jaw set. We need to vanish. I know a place, frontier colony, new lives. And maybe we find out who truly wanted you gone. As the skimmer sped toward the crossroads, Lyra turned, her expression shifting from guarded to vulnerable. She hesitated, then spoke softly. Before we land, you should know, I have a gift. Limited empathic senses. I felt your turmoil back there. Your heart wanted to save me, even when your training said otherwise. Rowan's breath caught. In the dim light, he realized he had found not just an ally, but the fragile beginnings of an unexpected bond, one that would shape both their destinies. The crossroads bustled with neon and shadows, a haven for exiles, spies, and scavengers. Rowan and Lyra, disguised beneath drab flight jackets and low-brimmed hats, moved together through the throngs. Vendors shouted in half a dozen languages, music pulsed from unseen speakers, and the scent of ozone mingled with cooking oil and engine grease. Every face was a question, every glance a calculation. Lyra's tail coiled tightly beneath her coat, ears hidden by a makeshift hood. Rowan's hand never strayed far from the pulse pistol concealed at his hip. His storm-blue eyes scanned every corner, tracking possible exits, clocking every shadow that lingered too long. They slipped down a narrow alley, past the flickering sign of a noodle stall, until they reached a battered hatch rimed with grime and old code locks. Inside, the room was dim and close, lit only by the glow of a dozen monitors stacked atop one another. Skit hunched over the consoles, his reptilian features half-lit in shifting color. Twin cybernetic eyes twitched, focusing and refocusing as streams of data reflected in their polished glass. His scaled hands moved with an unnatural speed, claws dancing over interface pads. Rowan shut the door behind them. Skit, we need your help. The data broker didn't look up. Your bounty's doubled since breakfast, Spectre 5. His voice was sibilant, edged with dry amusement. And you, Envoy Lyra, word is your own people want you caged. Lyra stepped forward, her bearing calm and unbowed. We need new IDs, passage, and funds. Discretion is vital. Skit's tongue flickered in and out. That costs extra, triple maybe, depends on your news. We have intelligence, Rowan interjected, voice low. The attack on the summit was orchestrated. Someone's fueling the conflict for profit. We can prove it. Skit's gaze sharpened, one cyber eye zooming in on Rowan's face. Now that's valuable. Show me proof and I'll... The room went dark. Every monitor died with a whine. A low hum filled the air, the warning thrum of a station lockdown. Skit cursed in his native tongue. No time. Varkari hunters, moving too clean for station rent-a-cops. Outside, heavy boots pounded, muffled voices barking orders in clipped code. Rowan flicked a glance at Lyra. She nodded once, reading the urgency in his eyes. Skit moved to a shelf, talons scraping metal, and pressed a hidden panel. A section of the wall hissed open, revealing a narrow crawl space. Maintenance hatch. Go, now. Rowan ducked inside first, his body tense with the memory of close escapes. Lyra followed, moving with silent grace, her empathy probing the air like an antenna. Skit sealed the hatch behind them just as the outer door crashed open. The service duct was ancient, dust swirling in their wake. Rowan moved fast, Lyra close behind, both guided by the dim pulse of emergency lights. Echoes of the hunter's boots reverberated through the metal skeleton of the station. "They're spreading out," Lyra whispered, ears attuned to every vibration. "They're not searching, they're herding." Rowan's jaw clenched. "Funneling us to the docks?" Lyra pressed a palm to the wall, closing her eyes. Her empathic senses reached out, skimming the surface of the Varkari mines nearby. Predatory, cold, focused only on the hunt. "Yes, they want us boxed in." "Then we don't play their game." Rowan scanned the junction ahead. A maintenance ladder ran up to a pressure hatch. He gripped the rungs, motioning for Lyra to follow. "Come on, we go outside." Lyra's eyes widened, but she nodded, trusting him. They climbed in tandem, breath echoing in the shaft. Rowan forced open the hatch with a grunt of effort. A gust of recycled air hit them, followed by the dizzying vision of the crossroads exterior, a skin of metal and neon clinging to the void. He pulled 2 mag boots from an emergency locker. "Strap in, stay close." Lyra's hands shook only slightly as she clipped on the boots, her tail flicking with anxiety. Together they stepped onto the hull, gravity shifting with the magnetic pull. Stars wheeled overhead, reflected in the gleam of the station's curved plating. Below, the city lights twinkled like a false sky. The crossing was agony and adrenaline. Every step threatened to send them spinning into the void. Alarms blinked red across the hull. Station security would be coming, but not fast enough for the hunters closing in below. They edged along maintenance struts, hands gripping cold metal, boots clinging with each heavy stride. Lyra's empathy kept her aware of the hunters' shifting frustration. "They've lost our trail," she murmured, breath fogging in her mask. Rowan didn't slow. "Good. Keep moving." For an hour they crawled, ducking sensor sweeps and blinking beacons until they reached the shadowed dockyards. A battered shuttle sat in quarantine, transponder dark, hull scarred with scorch marks. Rowan popped the hatch with a stolen code, and they tumbled inside, pulling the door shut just as spotlights raked the yard. He powered up the engines, hands flying over the controls. Lyra dropped into the co-pilot's seat, scanning for pursuit. "We're clear," she said, voice trembling with relief. The shuttle lurched free, plunging into the dark lanes beyond the station. Only then did the adrenaline ebb, replaced by exhaustion and something far more fragile. In the gloom of the cargo hold, Rowan shrugged off his jacket, revealing a fresh burn across his shoulder. Lyra moved closer, concern etched in her features. She reached out, her touch gentle as she examined the wound. "You should let me clean that." He watched her, noticing the care in her movements, the steadiness of her hands. "I've had worse," he murmured, but didn't protest as she dabbed at the burn with a strip of cloth. Her fingers lingered for a heartbeat too long. Rowan met her gaze, feeling the unspoken question in the air. Lyra's eyes softened, golden in the dim light. "You saved my life. Twice." He shrugged, but his voice was softer. "Didn't feel like a choice." She smiled, just a flicker. "That's what makes it real." For a long moment, the chaos and danger faded, replaced by the hush of possibility. Their hands touched, hesitant, then certain. Trust began to grow, fragile as glass, but warming in the dark. They retreated to the cockpit, where Skit's encrypted data chip waited. Rowan plugged it into the shuttle's console, fingers drumming anxiously as lines of code scrolled across the screen. Lyra leaned in, her tail curling unconsciously around her ankle. "Let's see what was worth dying for," Rowan said. The data unfolded: accounts, purchase orders, encrypted directives. Credits moved in dizzying sums: payments to shell companies, bribes to officials, shipments of advanced weaponry. A single thread ran through it all. The assassins' gear had been routed through Federation black sites, their orders signed in code only High Command could use. Lyra traced a line of text with her claw. "These contingency orders. Someone was giving live instructions during the summit. Remote uplink here." She pointed to a timestamp. "That's the same time you broke protocol." Rowan's face hardened as he read further. The directive was unmistakable. If Spectre 5 deviated from mission parameters, he was to be eliminated. Target authorization, Director Soren. He sat back, the air leaving his lungs. "My handler set me up. The order came straight from Soren. I was just another piece on the board." Lyra placed her hand over his, her empathy pulsing comfort and shared pain. "You weren't just a tool. You chose to save me, even against your orders." He looked at her, eyes shadowed but determined. "What do we do now?" She squeezed his hand, hope flickering in her voice. "Now we fight together, soldier and envoy, partners. We find the truth, and we make them answer for it." In that moment, trust took root, a fragile bond forged in adversity, shining through the darkness as they sped into the unknown. The shuttle drifted in the shadow of a shattered asteroid as Rowan and Lyra pieced together the final clues. The evidence was overwhelming. Director Soren's coded authorizations for the assassins, financial transfers from powerful weapons firms funneled through a web of shell companies, contingency orders with both the envoy and Rowan marked for elimination. The console's glow illuminated their faces, his drawn and haunted, hers resolute. Rowan scrolled through the last batch of data files, voice hollow. He gave the order. Soren signed off on everything: the hit, the cover-up, the contracts. He even authorized a second team to kill me if I didn't follow through. Lyra leaned in, her tail curled protectively around her legs, golden eyes never leaving him. "You always suspected the Federation was corrupt, but I don't think you ever thought it would turn on you." He stared at the blinking cursor, knuckles whitening around the edge of the console. "All those years, every order, every risk, I was just a tool, disposable." She reached for his hand, her touch steady and warm. "He didn't count on your conscience," she said softly, her voice both challenge and comfort. Rowan looked up, searching her face as if only now seeing her fully. The shuttle's silence seemed to magnify every heartbeat, every word. "I should have seen it coming," he muttered, voice rough with regret. "I was so careful, checking every order, double-checking every protocol. It never occurred to me that my handler would set me up as soon as I became inconvenient." Lyra's hand lingered on his, her claws careful, their warmth a quiet anchor. "You're not alone anymore, Rowan. You made your choice, and it was the right one." He tried to pull away, to retreat into the safe numbness of mission focus, but she followed, refusing to let him hide. The tension between them was electric, more than fear or adrenaline. Rowan hesitated, his breath shallow. "We should focus on the mission, get this data out, figure out how to expose him." "No," Lyra interrupted, her voice firm but gentle. "You're carrying too much pain. If you don't face it, it'll destroy us. I can feel it, your anger, your doubt. Don't lock it away." His defenses faltered, old wounds laid bare in the hush between words. "What if I can't get past it?" he whispered, ashamed of the vulnerability he could never show his superiors. Lyra's clawed hand lifted, tracing his jaw with unexpected tenderness. "Then let me carry it with you," she murmured. "Let's change the game, Rowan. We expose Soren. We fight for what's right. Together." He closed his eyes, letting her touch break through the walls he'd built. The next moment their lips met, hesitant at first, then hungry, as if all the chaos and longing of the past days had narrowed to this. The kiss was a promise, a letting go of fear, and when they parted, Rowan's gaze was clearer, steadier. They stayed close, shoulders touching as they mapped out their next move. Trust bloomed in the dark, every glance and word an act of faith. Hours later, Rowan knelt beside Lyra in the cramped medbay, hands steady as he cleaned a plasma burn on her shoulder. She winced, but didn't flinch, letting him tend her. His fingertips lingered a fraction too long, tracing the edge of fur and skin. "You never hesitate to throw yourself in harm's way," he said quietly, wrapping a bandage around her arm. She smiled, sharp but sincere. "Neither do you. Maybe we're both too stubborn for our own good." He chuckled, a low sound. "Maybe that's what it takes to survive out here." Their closeness deepened with each shared moment, two survivors, battered but unbroken, finding hope in each other's presence. Lyra's empathy soothed his battered trust, and Rowan let her in, sharing the doubts he'd never spoken aloud. "I keep thinking about the lives I took," he confessed, voice barely above a whisper. "How many times I justified it, for the mission, for the greater good. But I don't know if I believe in that anymore." Lyra's gaze was unwavering. Belief isn't just about orders or loyalty. Sometimes it's about what's right in front of you. Someone who chooses to save instead of destroy. He brushed a strand of blue hair from her brow, marveling at the softness of the moment amid steel and starlight. "You make it sound simple." She caught his hand, holding it against her cheek. "It isn't, but it's worth fighting for." Later, when exhaustion claimed them, they lay together in the shuttle's narrow bunks. The asteroid's fractured light filtered through the port, casting shifting shadows on metal walls. Rowan rested on his back, staring at the ceiling as Lyra curled beside him, her tail draped across his legs. For a time neither spoke, content in the rare quiet. Eventually, Lyra's voice broke the silence. "In Felinari tradition, there is something called soul pairing. It's not a choice, not the way your people see it. It's a recognition, two souls that fit together, no matter the obstacles." He turned to face her, heart thudding. "You believe in that?" She met his gaze, unflinching. "I do. My senses tell me this is more than survival. You're not just a partner in danger. I would choose you as my mate." Rowan searched her face, the truth of her words settling between them. He reached for her, fingers threading through hers. "After all we've been through, I'd choose you too. If we survive this, maybe we can build something real." Lyra's answering smile was radiant in the low light, fierce and full of hope. She pressed her forehead to his, her whisper soft but certain. "Then it's a promise. For after." The moment lingered, charged with all that had passed and all that might come. Two fugitives, two hearts battered by war and betrayal, found in each other a promise for a future beyond the mission. In the scrapyards of Vega Station, they found Cypher, a half-synthetic hacker with a knack for impossible jobs. The scrapyard was alive with arc lights and the whine of servos, a graveyard of twisted hulls and scavenged circuitry. Cypher waited atop a pile of gutted shuttles, a silhouette of spindly limbs and gleaming chrome. His face was a blend of pale flesh and shifting alloys, one eye an unblinking blue optic, the other organic and deeply amused. He greeted them with a lopsided grin. "Spectre 5 and the infamous Felinari envoy. What brings two most wanted fugitives to my junkyard palace?" Rowan didn't waste time. "We need to hijack the Tribunal broadcast. Soren's trial is a sham. We have proof of his conspiracy, financial records, orders, comm logs. It has to go live, everywhere." Cypher's synthetic fingers tapped a jagged rhythm on his knee. "Relay Node 14. Secure comms backbone. Maximum redundancy. Military-grade AI. Not easy. Not cheap." Lyra's gaze never wavered. We'll pay. And you get to keep all recovered data. A low whistle escaped Cypher's lips. Everything? No redactions? Rowan nodded. Uncut. Cypher's laugh crackled. I like your style. You've got 72 hours till the verdict. I'll crack the node, but you're my boots on the ground. Once we're in, you guard my upload. And you, Envoy, you'll help me talk past the AI. Deal? Lyra's tail flicked. Deal. Cypher's hand extended, a cool fusion of steel and skin. Rowan shook it, feeling the edge of desperation and hope in the hacker's grip. The 72-hour countdown pressed on them, a relentless pulse echoing in the ship's systems as they sped through asteroid fields. The shuttle rocked, alarms trilling as Rowan maneuvered through a tumbling belt of icy debris. In the dim cockpit light, Rowan turned to Lyra, his voice rough with vulnerability. Your belief in soul pairing, it feels more real than anything I've known. If we survive this, I want to learn what it means to be chosen by you. Lyra's smile was soft, her ears tilting forward, tail curling in contentment. It's about seeing someone's truth, accepting it, flaws and all. She reached for his hand, claws gentle as her fingers intertwined with his. We are each other's anchor now, Rowan. Whatever happens. He squeezed her hand, silent promises passing between them. Trust, hope, a fragile certainty. Cypher, hunched over navigation arrays, pretended not to notice, but a flicker of amusement passed over his synthetic features. They arrived at Node 14 under the cloak of a comet's shadow. The relay station loomed before them, an angular fortress of metal and glass, bristling with turrets and sensor arrays. Their shuttle docked at a maintenance port, Cypher leading the way with an irregular gait, his footfalls clinking on steel. Inside, the corridors hummed with the pulse of power and the hush of distant machinery. Cypher patched a cable from his wrist into the wall, eyes rolling back as he whispered in code. 3-man patrol, East Corridor, automated drones, Model Sentry 69, pressure plates, infrared beams. Nasty, but nothing I can't handle. Lyra's ears twitched, picking up the faint thump of boots and the whir of servos. There's tension. The security team is nervous, expecting trouble. Rowan checked his pistol, voice low. Let's make sure we're the trouble they don't see coming. They moved as one, a ghostly trio in the half-light, Cypher whispering directions, Lyra's empathy scanning for flickers of intent, Rowan's tactical instincts anticipating every danger. They ducked through a hatch, pressed flat as a drone glided past. Cypher looped a feed, sending the drone's camera on a wild loop of empty halls. Ahead, a lattice of laser beams blocked the next junction. Cypher grinned, fingers dancing across his portable console. Disrupt in 3, 2, now. The lasers flickered, and Rowan darted through, Lyra following with feline grace. Cypher slipped in last, sealing the hatch. Alarms muttered, but none escalated. Further in, a pressure trap hissed underfoot. Lyra froze, eyes wide. Wait! Too much weight triggers a defense grid. Let me try. She bent, tail balancing her as she edged forward on the balls of her feet, slipping across the plate with impossible agility. Rowan followed, boots light, holding his breath until he cleared the trap. Cypher simply stepped around, a hidden access panel popping open for his synthetic hand. At the core chamber, Cypher paused. New protocol. Adaptive AI. This wasn't here last cycle. The console's hollow display shimmered, a digital face flickering into view. Identify, it intoned, voice cold as vacuum. Lyra stepped forward, empathy reaching out. She felt the AI's focus, logic, suspicion, a flicker of curiosity. She bowed slightly, voice calm. We are maintenance, emergency diagnostics, code Sigma 14. The AI hesitated. Code accepted, but sequence incomplete. Prove authorization. Cypher hissed. We're locked. I need 10 seconds. A pulse of energy sizzled across the floor, an electrified panel between them and the server core. Without hesitation, Lyra leapt, body twisting midair. She landed past the current, claws sparking on metal. Her tail flicked a console switch, rerouting the power surge. The barrier faded, and the core unlocked. Cypher slid to the main terminal, hands a blur as he uploaded the evidence. Data scrolled in a torrent, Soren's orders, voice files, encrypted credits, all lining up in a damning chain. On the Tribunal's massive screens, the carefully edited trial feed shuddered. Suddenly, Soren's voice boomed across the galaxy, his orders to the assassins laid bare. Visuals of payouts, weapon shipments, and the directive to eliminate both Rowan and Lyra flooded every news channel. The judges stared, stunned, as the true conspiracy unspooled before 100 billion eyes. Cypher grinned, pride mingling with adrenaline. Broadcast is live. Everyone knows. But as the upload completed, the station's defenses roared to life. Sirens blared, blast doors slamming down. Red lights washed the server chamber in bloody hues. Drones dropped from ceiling hatches, guns spooling up. Rowan snapped into action, shoving Cypher behind a bank of consoles. Hold the line! Lyra crouched beside him, claws extended, every sense aflame. Drones whirred, their targeting lasers painting deadly patterns on the walls. The first volley screamed overhead, scorching the bulkheads. Rowan fired back, dropping 2 drones. Lyra leapt, shredding another with a swipe, her body a blur of motion and purpose. Guards pounded at the blast doors, faces twisted in fury. Give up! You're surrounded! Cypher called from the console, voice tense. Almost done, purging the last backups. Rowan moved to shield Lyra as she landed beside him. He gripped her hand, eyes fierce. We hold this line together. She smiled, breathless and wild. Side by side, Rowan, no matter what. The chamber echoed with gunfire and the whir of drones, but in that moment their hands clasped, united by love and purpose, unbreakable even as the final stand began. Across the stars, the broadcast shattered illusions. The Tribunal chamber's walls, once bastions of secrecy, now echoed with Soren's damning voice, the evidence of his greed and betrayal laid bare before the Federation and every colony, outpost, and ship. Admiral Reyes, presiding with steel in her gaze, watched the feeds flicker from planet to planet. Envoys, soldiers, and citizens alike saw the truth unspool in real time. Soren's web had fueled war, lined the pockets of the powerful, and stained the Federation's honor. Reyes's hand slammed on the comm, her voice a command that brooked no argument. Get me Node 14. Immediate intervention. Send Marines. Rowan Hale and Envoy Lyra are to be rescued and protected at all costs. Soren is to be arrested, alive. Marines snapped to attention across the fleet. Dropships streaked from warships and garrisons, engines flaring blue as they raced through the void toward Relay Node 14. Inside the relay, Rowan and Lyra's fight had turned desperate. The server room was a battlefield of shattered glass and sparking circuitry. Server racks became their only cover as drones swarmed, guns spitting plasma. Rowan ducked behind a tower, firing short, precise bursts. Drones exploded in showers of sparks. Left flank, Lyra called, empathy flaring as she sensed the cold determination of a squad circling to outmaneuver them. Rowan rolled to intercept, his tactical mind mapping the kill zone. He popped a smoke charge, then laid down covering fire as Lyra darted through the haze. Her feline agility was a blur. She disarmed one guard, tripped a second, her claws flashing in the dim light. Rowan caught a drone in midair, slamming it down and frying its circuits with a knife hand strike. Alarms screamed overhead. The security door buckled under a barrage of impacts. Lyra pressed close to Rowan, her voice urgent but steady. We can't stay here. The bay is ahead, but I sense more. Waiting. He nodded, sweat streaking his brow. We push, together. They moved as one, weaving through gunfire and chaos. Lyra's empathy gave them warning of every ambush, every surge of aggression. Rowan's tactics turned server racks into traps, corridors narrowed, grenades set to funnel attackers into dead ends. They burst into the shuttle bay. Hope flared and died. Soren's personal guard stood in phalanx formation, black armor gleaming, rifles aimed. Captain Dre, broad-shouldered and unblinking, blocked the escape ramp, his weapon locked on Rowan. "End of the line," Dre called, voice cold as the void. "Orders are clear. The traitor dies. The Felinari envoy returns in chains." Lyra bared her teeth, stepping between Dre and Rowan. "You serve a traitor. The galaxy has seen the truth." Dre's eyes narrowed, finger tightening on the trigger. "Doesn't matter. Orders are orders." Rowan lifted his pistol, wavering but defiant. "You're on the wrong side, Dre. Stand down." Before Dre could respond, the air shook with the roar of engines and the crash of reinforced doors. Marines stormed in, their armor glinting Federation blue. Flashbangs erupted, blinding the traitors as Marines surged forward, rifles barking stun rounds. A firefight erupted, short and brutal. Dre fired a single shot at Rowan, striking him in the side. Lyra lunged, catching Rowan as he staggered, her own body shielding him from further harm. She slashed a guard's arm, her tail sweeping another off his feet. Marines overwhelmed Dre's squad, pinning them to the floor. Dre fought to the last but was finally subdued beneath the weight of justice. Lyra knelt at Rowan's side, cradling him. Blood stained her hands, but she pressed them hard to his wound, her face fierce and protective. "Stay with me, Rowan. Stay with me." Rowan's vision blurred, the world narrowing to Lyra's golden eyes and the sound of Marines' voices calling for medics. He tried to speak, but only managed a faint, "Lyra." Her touch was the last thing he knew as darkness claimed him. A week later, the tribunal resumed in the Grand Assembly Hall, a new kind of trial, watched by billions. No longer a farce of justice, it was a reckoning for conscience. Rowan stood tall, his Federation uniform replaced by plain black, unadorned, honest. A healing line of stitches traced his side beneath the shirt. At his left stood Lyra, regal and proud, her tail gently curled around his wrist. Admiral Reyes, flanked by judges and envoys from every major world, addressed the assembly. Her voice carried the weight of command, but also a rare note of respect. "Rowan Hale, you stand accused of treason, disobeying orders, attacking Federation operatives, aiding an alien envoy. Yet, your actions exposed a cancer within our ranks. You followed your conscience, not blind obedience. Today, this tribunal finds you guilty, but we cannot punish a man for refusing to be a tool of corruption." A hush rippled through the crowd. Lyra squeezed Rowan's hand, her own heart thundering. Reyes continued, gaze unwavering. "Rowan Hale, you are granted a full pardon and an honorable discharge from Federation service. You are a civilian now, Mr. Hale. The galaxy needs those who follow their conscience, not those who follow orders at any cost." Rowan felt the weight of the moment settle on his shoulders, a strange relief, bittersweet and liberating. He glanced at Lyra, seeing her pride, her joy. She leaned close, her whisper for him alone. "Civilian life will suit you. You'll have to learn to rest, to live, maybe even be a little reckless." He allowed himself a genuine smile, the first in years. "It's a beginning," he replied, hope blooming in his heart. Lyra's hand tightened around his. The future was unknown, but as they stepped from the tribunal into the light, it felt, finally, like freedom. 2 months later, the Celestia Gardens bloomed with crystal blossoms, the site of their violent meeting now a place of renewal. Petals refracted sunlight into shifting rainbows, trailing over pathways that once echoed with the thunder of alarms and weapons fire. Now, laughter and gentle conversation drifted among the trees, the past transformed by hope. Rowan stood at the center of it all, feeling oddly exposed in his civilian suit. The dark fabric fit him far better than any Federation uniform ever had. And yet, a flutter of nerves teased his heart. He caught his reflection in a polished column. No longer the haunted operative, but a man unburdened, standing tall. Guests mingled, allies from the crossroads, Federation officers in dress attire, a Felinari delegation whose silver sashes rippled with every movement. Admiral Reyes, in full regalia, but with a genuine, rare smile, exchanged words with Lyra's eldest cousin, the Felinari matron. At the buffet, Cypher's drone hovered, its camera iris whirring as it streamed the event to friends scattered across the sector. It even chirped out kitchen hacks to the catering staff, having already intercepted and improved half their recipes as a not-so-subtle gift. The soft chimes of bells signaled the ceremony's beginning. Rowan turned, his breath catching. Lyra stepped through an archway of sapphire blooms, her gown a cascade of silver and blue that shimmered with every graceful stride. Tiny bells adorned her pointed ears, chiming with her steps. Her blue hair, radiant under the sun, framed her face like a halo. Around her, Felinari children tossed handfuls of crystal petals, their laughter as light as wind. Rowan's heart pounded. Each footstep brought Lyra closer, her golden eyes fixed on his. Every guest, every flower, every note of distant music faded, until only she remained, the force that had drawn him from darkness into the dawn. They stood together before a low dais, at the intersection of two woven rugs, one human, one Felinari, symbolizing the unity they had forged. A human officiant and a Felinari elder flanked them, the script of two worlds intertwined. Reyes stepped forward, her voice ringing clear. "We are gathered to witness a new beginning. Where once there was conflict, today there is alliance. Where there was suspicion, now there is trust." She inclined her head to the Felinari elder, who added, "In Felinari lore, peace is not merely the absence of war, it is the daring to hope for joy." The crowd, human and Felinari alike, stilled, a collective breath held. Rowan took Lyra's hands, the world narrowing to her touch. His voice, when he spoke, was steady and sure. "I lived in shadows, a specter moving unseen. Then I saw you, a beacon in the dark. Saving you wasn't a choice. I tried to follow orders, but you changed me. You are my compass, my conscience, my home." Emotion rippled through the gathering, many dabbing at their eyes. Lyra's golden gaze glowed with empathy, her love radiating so powerfully that even those unfamiliar with Felinari's senses could feel it. "My people believe in soul pairing, a missing part of oneself, impossible to find by searching. I never understood it until I felt your heart's cry to save me. You are not a weapon, Rowan. You are my protector, my heart's answer. I choose you as my mate, my partner, my husband." A soft breeze stirred, carrying their words across the assembled guests. Rowan lifted her hands to his lips, brushing them gently, his eyes shining. The Felinari elder presented a pair of silvered rings, each inscribed with the sigils of both worlds. As Rowan slid the ring onto Lyra's finger, she pressed one onto his in turn, their hands trembling with promise. The human officiant nodded. "By the authority of your peoples and the bond you have forged in adversity, I pronounce you husband and wife, mates by soul and law." The Felinari elder chimed, "Let this union be a beacon, proof that peace can rise from ashes." Rowan and Lyra turned to each other, their kiss sealing more than a union. It was the birth of something neither war nor betrayal could destroy. The bells on Lyra's ears chimed sweetly, and the gardens erupted in applause, laughter, and the joyful calls of both languages blending in celebration. In the reception that followed, Cypher's drone projected highlights to a galactic feed. The news ticker scrolled, "From outlaw to I do, human agent and Felinari envoy forge a new era." Admiral Reyes offered a toast, her voice teasing yet sincere. Rowan, I always suspected you'd find trouble outside the regulations. Lyra, thank you for saving him. And the rest of us as well. Lyra laughed, her tail twining with Rowan's arm beneath the table. He's very good at rescuing people, especially when he thinks he shouldn't. Rowan squeezed her hand, his eyes soft. Only because you showed me how. Later, as the evening settled into golden twilight, Rowan and Lyra slipped away from the crowd. They walked the same path where their flight for survival had begun, now lined with blooms and lanterns. Lyra leaned into his side, her voice a low murmur. This garden. Do you remember how it looked the night we first met? He smiled, recalling the chaos and terror, the split-second choices. I remember thinking I'd never find peace here. I was wrong. She pressed a kiss to his cheek, her empathy pulsing with contentment. You found me, and I found you. As they returned to their guests, hands clasped, the galaxy felt smaller, the past a shadow vanquished by hope. The tribunal had become a wedding, a promise that peace, hard-won, fragile and real, had finally, irrevocably begun. Our story ends here. If you'd like to support us, you can use the Super Thanks button right under the video to leave a tip. It truly helps our team improve the quality of our work. We're grateful to each and every subscriber for being with us. Make sure you subscribe, press the like button, and tell us in the comments what stood out to you the most in this video. Your feedback means a lot to our team. You'll discover many more captivating stories on our channel. See you in the next one.